Howdy folks, Justin here. Okay, so let's talk about this. A lot of people today are unhappy. Me too. When I expected today, whenever today would be, the day after the new client release, to be... Well, let me back up a little bit. I've known about the new client for a long time. I've played on it. I played on it in June. I played on it in August. Different, beta versions, if you want to call them that, in development versions. And I guess I expected today to be, because I had so much time to build this up in my mind, parades in the streets, frankly, to be honest, is how long I've had to think about this. I've made plans for new versions of Loser to Legend where I would explain how the game works using the new client. I came up with memes, costume ideas, all sorts of things, because I like I said, I've had so much time to just sit and think about what would day one be after the day zero launch. What would day one look like? I didn't expect this. Reddit, Twitter, the official forums, the Steam forums, the Discord channel are all kind of like on fire right now. And so today I've been struggling with like how to communicate how I'm feeling about all this, because I'm a little hurt, to be honest with you. But like this unhappiness, this hurt, it all comes from it's all the consequence of the same problem, which is my expectations, and the fact that they weren't met. My expectations weren't even really for the client. The screen, for instance, that we're looking at right now is beautiful, but my expectations were of the community reaction, because to me the game is great, but it's the community that I really give a shit about. All the people who I talk to about Legends every day, the thousands of you who watch my videos every day. I was hoping for this moment of shared joy where we all gathered together and appreciated something new together. And we're not having that kind of day, are we? And it hurts because I had these wild expectations. But that's on me, frankly. I can't blame anybody besides myself for how I'm feeling right now. It's not your fault, whoever you are, for being unhappy with the product that was delivered. It was, everyone is entitled to their own feelings about it. It's not Sparky Pants' fault, or Bethesda's fault, or CVH, or Pete Hines, or anybody. It's none of their fault that I am feeling the way I am right now. It's my fault because I had these expectations. I made these assumptions about what today would be like. So what is today actually like, then, if it's not parades in the streets and celebrations and mud crabs dancing? Today is kind of a sobering recognition that a game like this takes a lot of work to make polished. It's a recognition that maybe today we are not playing on the end client. And even though, intellectually I knew that going into this, and I think we all kind of did, if we're being honest with ourselves, we all knew that this wasn't going to be the end. I mean, Bethesda has repeatedly made comments about how they keep using the word iterative to describe updates to the game and how there'll be frequent patches and stuff like that. I mean, again, my expectations for what today would be like just sort of brushed all that aside. Today is a recognition that we're in some sort of beta. I mean, we're not, right? The game is functional for the most part. But it is a recognition that there is a lot of work still to be done. I draw strength today from the idea that we've been through, as a Legends community, we've been through a lot, frankly, in the last 2.5 years. From the closed beta, from the original client that I was playing in that also had a ton of problems, to the extended content droughts we've had because of an irregular content release schedule for the history of the game, basically, for a variety of reasons. And I know that part of the reason that Bethesda switched to the new developer is because they wanted to eliminate that delay. They wanted a more responsive dev team to things that needed to be fixed. So now we're going to load test that, frankly, right? Because as much as, like, I think some of the complaints about the new client are a little overstated, a lot of them are totally legitimate, and even the overstated ones are likely grounded in legitimate concerns. When I was a kid, we lived in for a while, we lived in a small town that didn't have a fast food restaurant, and we didn't have any money. But like once a month or once every 2 months or so, my parents we'd drive like half an hour to the nearest town with a McDonald's. I mean, I think it was half an hour. It felt like 6 hours because I was a kid, but and we would get a Happy Meal with a toy that corresponded to some movie in the theaters that, again, like we couldn't afford to go see, but like I had seen commercials for. And that was like a Herculean effort on my parents' part, right? Because they don't have any money. We're driving for what feels like an eternity, and I'm sure it felt like an eternity for them because they have a bratty child in the car. We're spending $4 or $5 on a Happy Meal when it's not a great investment. But as a kid, I had this expectation that this was going to be a fantastic day. And despite the fact that looking back on it, it's all sort of ridiculous, it was a fantastic day. I got that toy. I can still picture a couple of them, actually. This was 30 years ago. And I say all that, I guess, because today really is whatever we want it to be. If we clear ourselves, if we rid ourselves of these expectations and the disappointment we feel when our expectations of others aren't met, because we can't control what other people do, we're left with just opportunity, right, to craft the type of narrative that we want to be a part of, the story we want told. On that note, right, there's a lot to really be grateful for today, as far as Legends goes. Like I said, I love this loading screen, but I mean, even looking at the individual card arts, right, these things are absolutely gorgeous. It's clear that there is an eye at Sparky Pants for a look that's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Is it perfect? I mean, no. But until this morning, we were all in recognition that the old client wasn't perfect either, and that features we had been asking for literally years weren't happening. So this client is just an opportunity, right? We could look at it like this is an utter disaster, or we could look at it like, yeah, we kind of are beta testing this thing. Frankly, we've been through worse as a community. I'd rather have a client that worked than go another 6 months without new content, which is something we've done a couple times now. And we do know that new content is on the way. I played Peter Max's Abomination last night while I streamed, and I will say that while there are definitely, and these need to be acknowledged, some stuttering issues with the new client at times, it was, for the most part, easier to manage really complicated Abomination turns. And even though I dislike it when so many people get together and are vocally upset about the same thing, it does speak to something which I really do care a lot about, which is this shared passion for this hobby we all have, playing Legends. And in some ways I draw a lot of strength from that, and I think that anybody can if they want to tap into that, right? have to walk a fine line because it's easy to get sucked into this negative groupthink thing. And not that each individual person's opinions aren't valid, because they are. They're totally valid. Your feelings are valid. Your thoughts are valid. But I challenge each and every one of you who's unhappy today to find one thing you like and tell somebody about how you like it. Because if we all just did that once today, we could change this entire narrative. Be like, look, we're at ground zero. We are the bricklayers of a new game civilization, if you want to put it in such dramatic terms. And honestly, like just voicing these things, I'm starting to feel better. Because I'm not gonna lie, like I have like 200 comments on the video from yesterday that, I mean, while not being harsh to me, are not particularly positive in general, and it kind of hurts because what keeps me going playing this game is the positivity around what goes on. So moving forward, like, my Legends content will continue. I'm going to continue to stream, hopefully hitting Twitch affiliate on Sunday. And as each new iteration of the game gets released, each bug is squashed, I'm going to be happy and find satisfaction and joy in knowing that things are now better than they were before. I don't even know that you can objectively say that things are worse today than they were yesterday. I think it's more likely that my expectations, and maybe yours too, just weren't met. And obviously there's nothing we can do about what Sparky Pants and Bethesda are up to. All we can do is examine our own feelings about the situation and the thoughts that led us to the feelings we're having now. And I'm just glad to be here. Playing Legends these last 2 years has like literally changed my life. And not just because of the trips I've got to go on, but primarily because of the people I've gotten to interact with. And today, maybe we're all kind of sharing in some sort of psychic malaise because of our expectations and what ended up happening to them. But you're having a conversation with somebody else. You're talking to somebody else with the same passion as you, and that's powerful. And that's sort of the inherent benefit, I think, to playing games in general, this human element, this connection in a world that is, in my opinion, increasingly disconnected. So if you like something about the client, maybe mention that to somebody. And if you don't like something too, mention that as well, because Sparky Pants has a lot of work to do to bring this up to my expectations. But those are my expectations. I mean, it's not like I started playing Legends in the first place because the client looked a certain way. I played Legends because the mechanics are genius. The card design has always been really interesting. The balance has been, for the most part, very solid. That's why I'm here. That's why I stayed, you know? CVH and I, Charmer and I, now that I call him Derek, I get confused. Derek and I were talking just like 3 or 4 days ago about how like we are the longest lasting content creators for Legends. We've been here for a long time. And we've been through tough times before. And they were all worse because sometimes the game had just absolute game-breaking bugs. Like, I'm looking at Embassy Disguise and Guard Creatures. Today's an opportunity. That's how I'm going to look at it. I encourage you to play with it and offer your feedback. Nothing's going to change if we don't say something. So I'm not saying don't voice your opinions about things that you don't like, because you need to say those things. And I'm going to say those things. I'm just trying to keep it real here with you guys. I am sad today and I'm disappointed. But I'm still a huge fan of this game and I'm going to continue playing it. And I love you guys. And you guys are the reason why I continue to play. And then with all that said, I will see you guys on the ladder. Thank you for your time.